Recently, Fox 2 Detroit invited Speaker Matt Hall for an interview to talk about the no budget, no pay resolution that Republicans introduced in the House. This interview was very one-sided, and his responses were extremely misleading. Not once did the interviewer challenge his statements, provide an alternative response, or press him about being Speaker of the House, the most powerful Lansing politician. In the interview, he stated about the budget, and I quote, "I didn't see a sense of urgency," end quote. Then he said, quote, "When we got to July 1, the Democrats left and we didn't have a deal. And now the politicians have been basically on summer vacation ever since," end quote. Well, as Speaker, he has the sole right and authority to call session, to discharge bills to the floor, to compel legislators to sit down and vote to pass a state budget on time. Session has been canceled multiple times because he canceled session. Earlier this year, he established the schedule for the entire session calendar year, but then proceeded to cancel session multiple days in the spring and summer. If he's referring to the Senate Democrats, well, they pass all their budget bills on May 14th. Guys, this is serious. Billions of dollars are on the line. $84 billion for the state of Michigan and over $20 billion for the school aid fund. That is why I am taking the time to explain to you what is happening in the state of Michigan and to provide context and truth. This reporting demonstrates the dangers that the media can have when influencing their viewers, which, as you may guess, are mainly conservative Republican viewers, and fooling them into thinking that what they are broadcasting is the truth and reality. Every day leading up to this interview, I have seen reporters back down, not hold him accountable, because he is known to intimidate the press by calling them out by name and publicly criticizing them. The press should never be afraid to report on the truth. The press needs to hold all of us as elected officials accountable. We must allow the press to do their job with integrity and without fear. The lack of fair and timely reporting is precisely why I started creating video content to share with all of you directly my firsthand account and experience serving in the Michigan State Legislature. I started this journey in January when Speaker Matt Hall deliberately withheld my bill and 8 other bills from becoming law or being presented to the governor for her signature or veto, because he has refused numerous times to allow me to speak on the House floor on this issue or to debate matters on a number of policy issues. No one was covering this constitutional crisis of him withholding the 9 bills, and that is why I started to use social media to get the word out. I'm still waiting for my bill and the other 8 bills to be presented, but I am not the only one. Thousands of public workers, including teachers, firefighters, healthcare workers, and correctional officers, are desperately waiting for these bills to be signed into law. They've already been voted on, and they have passed both chambers, and they should be presented according to the state constitution. Matt Hall has personally attacked, publicly shamed, and insulted and disrespected me as his colleague in the legislature. He called me low IQ and one of the dumbest representatives in the legislature. But really, he wanted to distract you from what he is doing, hijacking my bill, canceling session to attend political rallies with the president in my hometown when I call him out on all of this. When we do have session, he discharges dumb bills to the floor, bills that have not gone through the committee process or vetting or were just introduced that same afternoon. These bills include bills to rename the Gulf of Mexico, ban TikTok from state devices, prohibit the Treasury from disbursing state funds to sanctuary cities or educational institutions. The cultural war list goes on and on and on. Whatever President Trump or Republicans in Congress are doing, you can bet that he's doing it to Michigan too. We have had the most unproductive legislative session in the history of Michigan, only 6 bills have been signed into law. Not only did he miss the July 1 deadline, he has not produced or presented any state budget bills other than the ones that he dropped on our laps back in March that got 92% from the state budget and $5 billion from the school aid fund. He has deliberately withheld progress, abusing his power, refusing to take up bipartisan Senate bills that have been sent over to our chamber for votes, or passing critical supplemental bills for this year so that the remainder of the funds that have been given to the state of Michigan by the federal government can be appropriated before the end of this fiscal year on September 30th. Hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money, your money, and $129 million from the Inflation Reduction Act is waiting to go to local governments, and it will be gone if it hasn't already been rescinded by the federal government. Matt Hall has demonstrated that he is not an effective leader. He is a bully, and he gets off on terrorizing his colleagues. You can't see our faces on the House floor because the cameras point to our back, but he sits there just a few desks away from me, often laughing and cracking up as members are crying or pleading on the House floor during votes. It is like watching in horror as someone inflicts political pressure and pain onto another person. You know what I think he is most of all? He is a coward. He can't even stand for 30 seconds in the same elevator as me as I make my way to the House chamber. He's the only speaker who has ever demanded that a sergeant escorts him or sits in the hallway guarding his office door. And yet his first action when he became speaker was to remove the metal detectors from the staff entrance and to reinstate a rule that allows the staff to carry in government buildings. So what is he afraid of? Guns or people? At the very least, he should turn on his Facebook commenting feature so that people can speak to their speaker. He is the reason why one of my bills and dozens of other Democratic members' bills have been stolen or cherry-picked and given to Republican members. And he said in this Fox 2 interview that we didn't want to give credit to Republican members, so we didn't vote to pass their bills. Well, as Speaker, he has the power to take away any member's bills when he doesn't want to give that member credit. He is doing exactly what he accuses my Democratic colleagues and I of doing, and that is called gaslighting. He also has 58 members, and you only need 56 to pass a bill. He never once mentioned that his members could have voted to pass the cell phone ban bill without any Democratic support. But on that same day, when we voted on the cell phone ban bill and other Republican bills, several of his members did not show up for work because they were frustrated and angry with his lack of leadership and his style, which is to punish and shame anyone that gets in his way. He had less than 56 members show up on that day, so he had to bully one of my Democratic colleagues to vote on the bill. And when he did not vote yes, Speaker Hall immediately stripped him of his position as Minority Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee. He keeps talking about the cell phone ban bill. Well, that is a prime example of how he orchestrates a political narrative, then uses it to attack his colleagues. It is no coincidence that the past month, thousands of dollars have been spent on dark money PACs to run attack ads against me and my Democratic colleagues for voting against this bill. He's not running ads against his own members who didn't show up that day and who also did not vote for that same bill. Now he's talking about docking every legislator's pay if no budget is done by July 1. Well, he has had 6 months now since becoming speaker to ensure that a budget would pass before then, but he spent these last 6 months terrorizing all of us, bullying members and playing political games. He has allowed his members to spew hatred, racism, and conspiracy theories on the House floor. He has allowed his chairwoman of the election committee to invite known election deniers to testify in committee week after week to relitigate the 2020 election. No member is speaking up because they are afraid of getting their bills taken away from them or not being voted on the floor. No local government or organization is speaking up because they are afraid they won't get their state funding that they need for their projects or for their schools or their organizations, or that they will appear to be politicizing a legislative process. People who work in government are generally afraid to stand up to politicians or to choose a side, even when they know it is wrong. He's calling everyone Lansing politicians. Well, I have news for you. The ultimate Lansing politician is Matt Hall. He has taken millions of dollars from lobbyists and corporate donors. In his interview, he mentions the governor numerous times. And this is the way that he is trying to drive a wedge between Democrats and the governor. As the editor from Gangwoo recently wrote, he's positioning himself as the governor's best buddy and Senate Democrats as the problem. He's pitting her against Democrats by using her as a pawn, and she won't come out against him because she has to work with him to get our budget done. He is the third-legged stool in this budget process. It's him, the Senate, and the governor. Finally, regarding the no budget, no pay resolution, it was a joint resolution to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot for 2026 to withhold pay from elected officials if there was no budget done by July 1. Ultimately, even if it passed, voters would have to vote on it in 2026, and it wouldn't take effect until 2028. This resolution doesn't do anything to ensure that we have a budget done now, with just 1 month to September 30th. It does hold future legislators accountable, but it does not currently dock current legislators' pay. However, if we don't get a budget signed into law by September 30th, no one will get paid. That is by default. That will happen automatically. We do not need a resolution to guarantee that. No budget for FY26, which starts on October 1st, means that he won't get paid. I won't get paid. Our staff won't get paid. State departments and agencies won't get paid. State of Michigan employees won't get paid. Workers who process your unemployment benefits claims and provide customer service would be laid off. Businesses that rely on LEO, the Labor and Economic Opportunity Department, or LAURA, the Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Agency, would not be able to get business licenses or their inquiries answered. Staff at MDHHS who process Medicaid, SNAP, WIC applications would be halted, or people would experience severe delays. There may be no one there to process the applications. DNR would be impacted. State parks, licensing, recreational services may be closed or limited. The state treasury cannot disperse funds other than constitutionally mandated emergency services like judges' salaries, the National Guard, the state police. But even then, those operations would be operating at a minimal level. Court officials, support staff are not constitutionally mandated. If the state shuts down, it's harder to get it back up and running. It takes time and resources to recover, and it would eventually cost more and put more strain on our state's operations. Respectfully, passing a budget isn't about me or Matt Hall. It is about the people of Michigan. You deserve leaders who will work for you and who will show up on October 1, even if it means not getting paid, ready to work, being honest, being transparent, being accessible. And, maybe we will have to wait until then to see if Matt Hall or any of those Lansing politicians will show up when their pay is docked. I will still be reporting to you. I will still be working for you. It's time to stop playing political games. It's time to stop terrorizing people. And it is time for Matt Hall to get into the office to negotiate a budget. Billions of dollars is on the line. We owe it to all of the people of Michigan to set our pride aside, to come together, to compromise, and to keep working. School administrators, school boards, staff, teachers, parents, and kids who have been working so hard to prepare for the first day of a new school year deserve a school budget. Ask Matt Hall, what is he waiting for? What does he ultimately want? He has the power to change things for the better. I get that maybe he's conservative, maybe he wants to be fiscally responsible with your tax dollars. So let's do the fiscally responsible thing and pass a budget. The Senate has already passed their version of the budget back in May. The governor has already provided her recommended budget back in February. The third leg of this stool, Matt Hall and House Republicans need to step up now. No more big gotchas and no more political games.